Sari, Indian women at work in New Zealand.
Toki nei, nō reira koutou katoa, kua karapine mai nei, ki tēnei o ngā wāhi o te whare wānanga o aronui o tāma ki makaurau, kia nei te kōrero nau mai, hara mai whakatau mai rā. Kei te mihi atu au ki a koe Edwina Pio, nāua no tātou I whakaopiti, I whakarauike mai, I runga nui tēnei kaupapa nō reira kei te mihi atu au ki te kaupapa nāna no tātou I karapine mai nei I raro I a hui a kai manua nō reira kei te mihi ki a koe, o tira ki a tātou katoa a koe hui mai nei I tēnei ahiahi. I tikāna te kōrero me whakapai te pukapuka nei I raro I ngā manaakitanga o te runga rawa, nō reira I tēnei wā mō kore anō kia tuku ngā whakamoe miti ki tō tātou matu nui te rangi, nō reira kia kara ki a tātou. Ki te umata matu te mai timiti wai rua tapu āmu. E te ariki e te atua ka harawa ko koe te ihi te wehi te tapu ko koe te mātāu ki a koe rungu te mātau tameo he hukaraiti o tēnei te mihi whakamoe miti, te mihi whakawhetai ki a koe, hei keretea mōu, nō reira uhia mai tō tō mai rangi ata pai kei runga ki tēnā ki tēnā o mātau. Mana ki tia mai mātau I tēnei wā. Mana ki tia mai te kai tuhi o tēnei o ngā pukapuka whakahirahira. Mana ki tia mai mātau ngā kai pānui o tēnei o ngā pukapuka kia eke panuku, kia eke tangaroa e, kia poi aha, Aotearoa kotahi ki te whai ao ki te amarama. Nō reira e te ariki whakarunga mai ki tēnei inu e tino.
The hand that rocks the cradle rules the world. This adage amply personified the setting at AUT Business School, where the celebratory launch of the book Sari, Indian Women at Work in New Zealand was graced by a crowd of about 150 people, mostly sari-wearing Indian women. More than 100 years of Indian women making a home and career in New Zealand is the subject of this new book. According to the 2006 census, from among a total of 77,178 total working people of Asian ethnic groups, there were 24,018 Indian women who were at work. National Party leader John Key addressed the gathering, paying rich tributes to the author who he said captured the Indian woman's range of experiences, aspirations and values, and added that they cannot be stereotyped. He lauded the contribution of Indian women to New Zealand as being as varied as their history.
Sari celebrates not only the diversity of our country's population, but also the diversity within the cultural groups that make up the New Zealand population. It shows that Indian women in New Zealand cannot be stereotyped. They have a range of experiences, a range of aspirations and of values. Some have been here less than a decade, others for up to 4 generations. Some trace their lineage back to Fiji or Europe, others to the Indian subcontinent. Some are dairy owners, some are doctors. Some are mothers, others are not. Some wear the sari, others don't. The contribution Indian women have made to New Zealand are as varied as their histories. In Sari, their contributions are documented across many fields through entrepreneurship, creating jobs and business for our country, through volunteer work on, for example, the New Zealand Indian Women's Association, and through sport, through, for example, the Indian Women's Hockey Team. There are tales of courage, of determination, and overwhelmingly, there's a real sense of aspiration flowing through the stories of these women. Edwina has captured what I want to appeal to in every New Zealander. The sense of the possible, the sense of how great we can be as individuals and of how great our country can be. The result is a text that will give many New Zealanders, and indeed people from all over the world, an important insight into New Zealand's cultural, economic and social history. Edwina's work documents in poetic text and on beautifully laid out pages the vibrant contribution Indian women have made to our country. It is a tribute to their lives, their work in New Zealand, and their involvement in many aspects of New Zealand life.
Their focus and their priorities, and generally it requires quite a lot of adaptation and
Launched by Dunmore Publishing, it's a labour of love by Dr. Edwina Pio. She says she wanted to explode the myth that a New Zealand Indian woman will probably only own a dairy, be unable to speak English, and be a mere chattel of her all-powerful husband. Sari is the result of a grueling 6-year project, where Edwina, Associate Professor at the Business School of AUT University, interviewed more than 100 Indian women and had more than 600 conversations with other women.
Sari, which is 6 yards, an unstitched garment, a garment that's been around for thousands of years. And I hope that when we finish the formal part of this, you will interact with the women in blue, either salwar kameez or sari, many of whose photographs are being relayed behind. This sari has been woven on the looms of employment trajectories of Indian women betwixt history and the future. So sari is a skein in the life of ethnic minority women, a thread in managing organizations, a tantalizing ingredient in policy development, John, a deeply embroidered pattern mingled with the filigree designs of 4 million people. So if you look around you, you have people from a number of different nationalities who are present here to support this work and to support ethnic minorities.
Governor-General Anand Satyanand wrote the foreword. Sir Paul Reeves, AUT Chancellor and former Governor-General of New Zealand, painted a portrait of the changing landscape of New Zealand and noted the growing contribution of Indian women in many spheres.
Demure. And the studies about women who know the sari but have entered the workforce in New Zealand. And what this study says is that labour market integration and social integration are possible, and it's a question of what cost. And as New Zealand gets older and browner, either Indian women may continue to create a microcosm of India in New Zealand, but their daughters and their granddaughters know no other homeland than New Zealand. So, are they third generation migrants? Are they fourth generation migrants? Or are they Kiwis? It's my experience that identity usually means being sure of some things and very uncertain of other things. Indian women display, as Edwina shows us, diversity. They have merged, they have fused, they have changed, and some have remained the same. We find a situation where there are many migrants. It may well be that it is the indigenous people of this country who will provide one of the threads that binds us together. And I just want to repeat once again what Edwina said, for in the deepening hues of the fabric of living in New Zealand, we are all threads of the same skein of life. And so therefore, her study speaks to all of us because, as John Key has said, we are all on a journey. And may God be with us on this journey. Thank you.
The Indian High Commissioner, K.P. Ernest, spoke about the sari, which is 6 yards of an unstitched garment, a garment that has been around for thousands of years.
The sari is an Indian fashion statement which has stood the test of several millennia and has come to symbolize the unmatched elegance and reticent resilience of Indian women. We are immensely pleased that the Indian women at work in New Zealand have had the good fortune of their role being interpreted by an outstanding scholar of exceptional sensibility as Dr. Edwina Pio. Dr. Edwina Pio's intimate knowledge and insightful understanding of Indian spirituality and spirituality linked to ethnic minority women in work and enterprise makes her book a uniquely authentic and authoritative interpretation. I wish to use this opportunity to pay a rich compliment, a rich tribute to all Indian women whose work and worship, whose solidarity and sacrifices have in large measure shaped and molded the progress of Indian community in New Zealand. I also wish to pay an equally handsome tribute to New Zealand, which has come to not only accept but also celebrate the integration of Indian people in the heart of their society. India, like other countries, both idolize the women and also defile them. Traditionally, the Indian women have valued their family well-being more than their own well-being. And that has been one of the reasons for all kinds of gender inequalities that continue to persist in Indian homes. The Indian Nobel laureate for economics, Dr. Amartya Sen, said that the underdog has come to accept the legitimacy of the unequal order and has become implicit accomplice. Our two nations have close and cooperative political ties and commitments. The people-to-people interaction between our two countries is growing wider and more productive. The recent unveiling of a statue of Mahatma Gandhi by His Excellency the Governor General and the Mayor of Wellington in Wellington was an eloquent expression of the commitment and solidarity between our peoples to uphold the values of non-violence and human dignity.
Well, it's a wonderful book. It's an opportunity to get a sense of the struggles and the different aspects and perspectives of so many different women who have come to New Zealand who are of Indian ethnicity. And it gives you a sense that not every journey is the same, not every perspective is the same. And I just think it's great to get a different sort of potpourri, if you like, of all those different opportunities and to put them in writing so New Zealanders can understand them. And if we can understand each other better, then we'll be a better society.
I'm so proud of what Edwina has done. She has taken so much of trouble to interview so many women, and she has really put the stories together beautifully. And it really makes all our Indian women proud of her achievements. Congratulations.
Oh, I think it reflects perfectly the changing landscape of New Zealand. I'm really proud to be here today. I've met Edwina for the first time today, and what a warm, beautiful, lovely lady. And I just can't wait to read her stories that she's written about. I know some of the women in the book, and I will get to know them much better when I start reading the book. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's a fantastic book. It sounds like it's the first sort of a book that's been written about Indian women, and I think it's going to perfectly capture that mix between women who have come from India, settled in New Zealand, some have been born in New Zealand, but they bring their culture with them, and it's their adaptation and the diversity that they bring. So I'm really proud. I can't wait to read the book.
I think it was fantastic. What I liked was the diversity of the crowd, the enthusiasm, the interest, And I think the book has really brought out an important lessons about Indians, about the Indian women in particular, their resilience, and also their efforts at integration in this community.
The book was launched under the auspices of the Centre for Work and Labour Market Studies.
I think it's an important contributor to us understanding the growing diversity in New Zealand society and in the workforce here. We launched the book under the auspices of the Centre for Work and Labour Market Studies, and I think that was very appropriate because we're particularly interested in the growing complexity of the workforce in our society and the fact that 1 in 8 people in Auckland are currently of Asian background, and that proportion to which the Indian community contributes significantly is growing faster as we speak, and so it will be a much larger proportion in years to come. It has enormous implications for the way we do our work, the way we organise it, the way we relate to each other in the workplace, and I think for employers and for other employees, some of the issues raised in the book are coming more and more to the forefront.
Associate Professor Dr. Pio says Indians comprise 2.6% of New Zealand's population. She added that with India emerging as a global giant in the world economy, it is important that New Zealand reaps the benefits of its immigration policies. Writing the book evolved from her concern that qualified and professional Indian women find it difficult to get work equivalent to their skills and qualifications. Sewn into the stories are the spangles of an Indian patriarchal system, which supported these women and at the same time created very strict demarcation lines, and the shaded sequins of in-laws who might manipulate them as they sought to carve out their careers and gain an education. The working journey of these women of the Sari is intertwined with immigration policies and the mental interlacing of various eras. She hopes her book will bring the silent voices of Indian women into the public domain as a tribute to their work and life in New Zealand. She also hopes it will pose questions and offer recommendations for policymakers, employers, the business community, and Indians in New Zealand.
I'm a migrant myself, and I'm an ethnic minority woman, and I was really keen to see that we have good individual organizational fit in terms of employment, and I found that hasn't really been taking place because it's quite challenging for New Zealand society to accept that Indian women can be more than dairy owners and more than market gardeners, that they can also be professionals. And I wanted to bring this into the public domain for New Zealand society. So that was really the impetus.
Like, what do you hope to achieve?
What I hope to achieve is that people can be more understanding of Indian women. They can look beyond the visible diversity discriminators of skin color, of accent, of clothing, and look inside to really accept how Indian women are and the contributions they bring to society.
I mean, the changing landscape of New Zealand